One day, there were 4 friends who were reading books. They were invited to go out and play, but all of them refused, saying that the activity was pointless and just a waste of time. 8 years later, these 4 friends had become teenagers. On that night, Andy, Spice, Lion, and Nora lamented their life as they would soon graduate from high school. They thought that there wasn't much they could do and it seemed too late to make friends. The next morning, the 4 of them became busy with their part-time jobs. Andy, who was naive, was seen working at a tennis court. There, Andy worked as a coach for the guests who came to the court. Then, his senior approached him and informed Andy that there was a class for the hot mommies at that place. Elsewhere, Nora took a part-time job at a laboratory. Nora seemed to have a crush on her senior named Erland. Nora couldn't hide her feelings. Meanwhile, Lion earned extra pocket money by teaching martial arts to children. Unexpectedly, Tinsley, the mother of his students, invited Lion to party at her house. Lion was also informed that he was free to invite anyone to the party. In that moment, Lion immediately thought of his 3 friends. In the evening, Lion, Andy, and Nora went to the beach. They intended to visit Spice, who worked at a restaurant by the beach. On the way, they also talked about Andy's pen pal named Danya, who supposedly came from India. They all thought that Andy was being pranked by someone pretending to be a girl. In short, they arrived at the restaurant where Spice worked. Lion informed them about the party invitation he had just received. They immediately became excited to attend the party. In addition, they also came up with an idea to seek revenge for their uninteresting teenage years. It meant that they would dedicate themselves to partying and engaging in mischievous activities. The next day, Andy was seen as a tennis coach, and true enough, the tennis class was filled with mommies who didn't seem to know how to play tennis at all. Throughout the game, they just teased Andy. After finishing their tennis lesson, Bona and Gabby approached Andy. Then, with a slightly dirty mind, these mommies offered Andy private tennis lessons, claiming that it would help them focus more on learning tennis. Andy immediately accepted the offer from the 2 mommies. That night, Andy received an email from his pen pal who sent him a photo. Instantly, Andy unzipped his pants and performed a ritual. The next day, they finally set off to party. Since it was their first party, they behaved awkwardly and drank a lot of alcohol. Fortunately, they still remained in control and it became easier for them to mingle. Nora met Erland, who was also there. She became brave enough to approach Erland, while Spice and Andy had their respective targets. Later, the party moved to the lakeside. Nora and Erland, who had become couple, were seen having fun at the lake. Andy appeared jealous seeing that. However, a girl he had his eye on approached Andy. The girl said that she didn't like the water and preferred to undress indoors. Andy immediately searched for a room to be intimate. But it was unfortunate for Spice, as he was rejected by the woman he had targeted because he was too aggressive. The next day, Andy, who had promised to give private tennis lessons at Gabby's house, set off on his bike. Upon arriving at Gabby's house, there was a note at the front door instructing Andy to enter through the back door. Andy followed the instructions and entered through the back door. Inside, he was surprised because what was supposed to be a tennis practice that day turned into a cultural event. It turned out that Gabby had planned all of this. Andy immediately went along with it and gave Gabby what she wanted. It was at that moment that Andy discovered a new way to make money. The next day, Spice and Andy relaxed by the beach. They talked about Nora being intimate with Erland. But Andy didn't seem to like that. Spice seemed to know that Andy had a crush on Nora, but Andy denied it and told Spice that he was no longer a virgin. In his spare time, while doing his main job, Andy didn't forget to hone his intimacy skills by reading books on techniques for being intimate. He was approached by 2 mommies who were new customers for his private lessons. These mommies had heard Gabby's giving 5-star review about Andy's private lesson. This is how Andy gained many new customers. He was very diligent and enthusiastic about this enjoyable side job, which made him popular. Andy bought a plane ticket for Danya, his pen pal in India, to come and visit him. Andy eventually changed into a different person from his uncool school days. One day, while Andy was enjoying his private lesson with Gabby, they were startled by the arrival of Gabby's husband. Panicked, Gabby told Andy to quickly leave her house. Andy also ran out naked, which led him to deal with the police. In a rush, Gabby forgot that there was a headband left behind. And that wasn't all, as Andy's senior at the tennis court also reprimanded him for knowing what had happened. Back to the beach, where the four friends spent their time. But Andy got angry seeing Nora getting closer to Erland. He said some unpleasant words, and eventually Nora got angry with Andy. They argued for a while before Andy had to express his feelings. However, not long after that, Andy received another private lesson from Mommy Diana, which made Nora find out about Andy's side job satisfying the mommies. Andy then left for Diana's house, but there he also met his friend who eventually invited Andy to join a summer party. This summer party was the highlight of excitement for teenagers as it coincided with their graduation from school. Before the party, they gathered again with sour faces. Spice, being the only one without problems, asked about their days. It turned out that Andy had been fired from his job because he was caught providing secret services to the mommies there. Lion was also fired because he was drunk while teaching. Meanwhile, Nora was upset because Erland was caught with another girl. Shortly after that, Danya arrived in the city and asked Andy to pick her up. Andy finally went and their meeting as pen pals began with a kiss. After that, Danya was taken to a hotel to stay there. Danya tried to be intimate with Andy, but he couldn't comply because he had fallen in love with Nora. Finally, the summer party arrived. Upon arrival, Andy was challenged to a fight by a muscular guy for no reason. Andy tried hard to win the brawl, and in the end, the muscular guy fell. And Nora, proud of her friend, hugged Andy. And it turned out that Danya was jealous. Danya then left from there, and Lion immediately approached her. Apparently, Danya was disappointed because Andy didn't pay much attention to her. Even since she arrived there, Andy had never satisfied her at all. Seeing an opportunity, Lion invited Danya to satisfy themselves together. Elsewhere, Andy received a surprise from the husbands of the mommies he had clapped. There, these husbands wanted to gang up on Andy, but Lion, who was skilled in martial arts, came to save his friend. In short, those men were defeated, and the fight that occurred attracted the police to come there. Fortunately, Andy knew the police officer who had arrested him naked a while ago. And finally, this kind police officer escorted the kids to go home. The party ended, and the mission of these friends ended successfully. They accompanied Danya to the airport together. And at that moment, Lion officially became her boyfriend. After returning, they bid farewell to each other because they would continue their studies in different places. Then the movie ended with Nora receiving Andy's feelings, and the two of them ended with a kiss. And the movie ended.